Funny how, like, even when I can hear you, Amin, and I know you can see me, but I can't see you, I'm still like, I don't know if he's there.
It's like actually at home.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to believe it till I see it.
I'm on my couch eating Cheetos and then like hitting a button like, "You're good, Charlotte."
Yeah.
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan, and all the way back in cold, gray New York City is Charlotte Wilder.
Hi,
Yeah.
Amin. I miss you guys already.
Yeah, there was like a mini hurricane last night again. I couldn't sleep at all.
Is it still rainy?
Rainy and windy. I hate it here.
Okay, I got to tell you something. I started coming to Miami in the summer
Yeah.
when it was a bajillion degrees and always sunny and worse than it was in New York, which is saying something for the summer. And then I'm like, oh, great. It's the winter. I could really use some warmth. It's an awesome thing that I have to go to Miami for work. And it has been rainy, cold, or a hurricane every single time I've been there when it's cold here.
I haven't seen the sun in Miami in like years at this point. At least that's what it feels like.
Pranking us.
We got a great show today. Charlotte, we're going to play a new game today. Bank, bust, or both. Bank, bust, or both.
Cool.
Triple B's. There you go. Also, we're going to play an
Big
old
baller
game.
brand.
We're going to play an old game. Hype me up. Right? But first, let's get straight to the headlines. And obviously, Draymond Green's indefinite suspension. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but you get a little bit more exposition from the old NBA as Ramona Shelbourne of ESPN, terrific reporter, wrote about extended conversations he had with Draymond Green. And I'll read her quote right here. What he said about the Gobert incident offered a window into the complex issues he's now trying to solve. Quote, in those moments, you don't know what time is. What time is? Charlotte,
Yes.
my memory doesn't serve me so well. It's just years of just information being crammed in there, plus a lot of alcohol. But when Draymond Green choked out Rudy Gobert, was that like in the heat of like the third quarter of that game?
Well, it's funny you asked that, Amin, because I believe it was in the first minute
Yes.
of the game.
That's I get it. You don't know what time is, but like it feels like that was a little too fast to forget about time. To
Well, you
lose
know what it
time.
also feels like? It feels like, in addition to saying you don't know what time is, Ramona reports that Draymond was, quote, aghast. When I watched it back, I said, damn, I held him much longer than I realized in that moment. But he said that to her recently.
Yeah, I don't like. He did it. He got suspended for 5 games. He came back. He played. And then he got into this latest incident. I mean, that's a lot of time passing. It would seem to me that in the heat of the moment, okay, everything's crazy, time doesn't exist, etc. After the game, hey, man, whatever. Fall asleep. Wake up the next morning. You don't say that out loud? You don't share that with anybody?
And I feel like there was a line, Ramona ended her article with a line that I feel like is pretty much the whole truth going on here. Because through all of this, Draymond is saying the same things to her that he has been saying publicly. Like, I don't apologize for things I don't mean to do. I'm the reason we've had this success. Steph still has his back, which I also understand. Like, Draymond is an integral part of what brought the Warriors to success. But there is no acknowledgement of, yes, I did cross the line. It's like, this is who I am. I didn't see much contrition or understanding of why this is a problem. And Ramona says at the very end, Steph has said, this is who you are. This is who we need you to be on the court. And Draymond says, I could appreciate that because I'm never going to go to Steph and say, hey, man, we need you to stop shooting. And Ramona says there's a self-awareness to Green's explanation, but there's also a blindness within it, too. The Warriors don't just need him to stay on the court. They need him to figure out why he can't.
Pretty much. That's excellently put. Another kind of quote from this, and mind you, this is all of these quotes and conversations are from before the Nurkic episode, right? What I love most is the opportunity to prove myself again. That's how I come out of this. Like, oh, they're doubting you again. They're questioning you again. They're questioning your integrity. As someone who's had to prove myself my whole life, it's familiar territory. Again, there's no part of this where it's like, okay, maybe I went a little too far there. It's all
Right.
See, they don't believe me. Like they think it's crazy how the line for him has become so blurry that the border between that intensity that Steph is talking about, that they're absolutely right, is integral to their success, and just an out of control dude who can't stay on the floor. And again, I point out again and again, we're talking about in the last 9 months, 4 suspensions.
Right. I also think that this starts to become, I mean, if Draymond is thinking long term, this becomes like a branding and marketing problem. This becomes like, what do you want to think of when you think of Draymond? You want to think of the 4 championships.
I would say that's secondary. That's secondary. The most, because this is not getting in the way of like marketing opportunities. This is getting in the way of basketball, of the thing that we're all here for.
But that's what I mean. Like, those things get all knotted together in terms of like, quote, his legacy. And I know people say they don't care about that, but I think that on some level, you do care about that a little bit, right? Yeah.
That's the weird thing. Like, because Dennis Rodman went through a lot of these same things, and he also played with an intensity, and he also crossed the line. And then, like in retirement, people seem to forget about this stuff or think about it fondly. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, hey, man, right now, not for 20 years from now, not for your Hall of Fame speech. Right now, man. Right now, we're trying to win. We're trying to do this again. We're trying to add our names to a list that gets shorter and shorter. People have won 4. We're on the people who won 4. We're trying to get the people who won 5. Maybe the people who won 6. Like, that list shrinks considerably. How do we get there? It's not with you being suspended every other week.
He did say something that I thought was interesting, which he said, this team, basically this dynasty, whatever you want to call it, is our baby. You don't just give that up. So I feel like there is some level of hanging on to this, and if not desperation, like intensity about worrying that time is closing in a little bit.
Yeah. That's not his personal hell, though. His personal hell is what's happened over the last 24 to 48 hours, because you got quotes from Yusuf Nurkic, Kevin Durant, and now the latest, Rudy Gobert. Charlotte, please let the people know what Rudy Gobert said about Draymond Green.
Yeah, in case anybody wondered if Draymond was living his nightmare, he is now, because Gobert said, I have empathy for him after the Timberwolves beat the Mavericks. You see somebody that's not well inside and suffering. You take away the game and all that. You want somebody to be well and be able to do what we do every night and compete and be happy, which is probably the most condescending thing that Gobert could have said.
Everybody's talking about Draymond like he's a crackhead. Like they saw him on the street. Like, what happened to you? You used to be one of the great champions, and now you're just like, begging for nickels so you can go buy some crack. Like, no, like that's got to be the worst. Like, people calling him an asshole and doubting him and all that stuff, he's all with that. But people feeling pity for him and like, oh, man, I just hope he gets the help he needs. The help he needs has come up again and again and again. That's got to sting more than anything, more than any suspension, really.
Oh, for sure. I also feel like that happened very quickly, because after the Gobert incident, it was like, okay, he got 5 games. All right. Like, we got to figure out how to get his act together. And then league suspends him indefinitely. Counseling is being brought up. I hope he gets the help he needs. Like, it all turned into sort of mental health language very, very quickly, which I don't think it was before, even after the Gobert thing.
No, the Gobert thing, Draymond's an ass. The Nurkic thing, all right, what's going on, man? Like, there's a break that everyone just took a step back. Like, okay, man, what's happening here? What's happening here? What's going on? And again, I don't know whether it is or isn't. I just know that he doesn't seem to see the connection, at least not as of this conversation with Ramona Shelbourne. He doesn't see the connection between this erratic behavior and, his inability to stay on the floor. But I hope he gets the help he needs. All right, moving on. The Pacers signed James Johnson, 15-year NBA veteran James Johnson. Charlotte, do you know what James Johnson's nickname is?
I do not. Tell me.
Bloodsport. James Johnson comes from a family of black belt martial arts experts. I'm talking about mom, dad, brothers, sisters, everybody. In the Johnson family household, when there was disrespect. There wasn't like, you're on timeout. There wasn't even, get me the belt and here's a whooping. There was, meet me in the octagon. Yes, this is all real. James Johnson is one of the most notorious tough guys in the history of our league. So
wow,
it's just kind of funny that like after this big brouhaha between the Pacers and the Bucks several times within that context of that game on Wednesday night, it's like, you know what? Bring in the muscle. All right.
It's like, my favorite thing, though, I mean, is that, yes, there was a brouhaha, but it was over a ball. It was after the game, and it was, I mean, yes, things got sort of rough during that game, but the big thing that everybody was talking about was how Giannis wanted the ball, and the Pacers wanted the ball, and I just love that they're like, you know what? Nobody is going to take that ball from us again. We're getting James Johnson.
No. Yeah, and by the way, I mean, the funny thing is there's all these urban legends about what he can and can't do, and I don't know. Like, I've never seen it, but for instance, I've heard James Johnson, they could put a soda can on top of the rim, and he can roundhouse kick it off.
No.
Now, that sounds impossible.
What?
But he's also 6'9", so with a crazy vertical, so maybe he can. Here's the question.
Wait, what?
Are you gonna test him? Are you gonna say, hey, man, I don't think you can do that? It's one of those things where it's like, you kind of just believe it. Right? I operate under the belief it's true.
Oh, my God, that's wild. So, James Johnson, he was on the Pacers a year ago, right? He's been a lot of places.
He's been around. He's been a couple places,
So they know him. They're like, James.
No, they know what they got. They know what they're doing. They're like, let me see. You there, sir? You look pretty sturdy. No, they know what the hell they signed.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The Pacers. I'm all in on the Pacers, and they have their graceful star. They need the muscle to back them up.
So Charlotte, I want to transition to something a lot more somber when we come back. NBA legend George McGinnis passed away yesterday at age 73 after suffering a cardiac arrest at his home in Indianapolis. He was enshrined in the Hall of Fame in 2017. He was co-MVP of the ABA in 1975 with Dr. J, a 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-ABA, 2-time All-NBA, and 2-time champion in the ABA with the Indiana Pacers. This is something I talked about a lot on Oddball, on Le Batard Show, on SiriusXM NBA Radio. The concept of the ABA records and achievements not being recognized by the NBA. They're in a box in the proverbial attic. They're there, but when we count things, we don't really count those. If you look at the all-time scoring list, ABA and NBA, George McGinnis would rank 105th all-time out of all the players that ever played. If you take away his ABA scoring, which the NBA does when it's counting its all-time scorings, he's 458. And I bang this drum harder and louder because as shown by George passing away yesterday, we're running out of time. These people who built the league that influenced the way we play basketball today way more than the NBA did, their accomplishments are diminished and they're told they don't count, they don't matter. And, as we strive to fix this, we're losing these people. We're losing them. They're of that age now where, if we ever get this taken care of, George McGinnis won't have seen his name move up those ranks like that. Moses Malone won't have seen his name move up the ranks like that. These guys are no longer with us. There are still many who are, though, and I just feel like there is no real reason other than just pride or pettiness for the NBA to continue to do this. I don't know who to talk. I don't know who I'm talking to be honest with you. That's the crazy thing, Sean. I don't know who I'm pleading to. Is it Adam Silver? Is it, some mysterious person working in the archives of the NBA? Is it Joe Dumars, the president of basketball operations for the NBA? I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm just telling them that we need to respect the history of our game, respect the men who helped build it, and respect their accomplishments. And I'm not naming guys that like, oh, so we're going to put, Jingo Johnson or whatever. It's not random people. These are people who are Hall of Famers. Like I said, like Rick Barry, like Dan Issel, like Dr. J, all of whom are lower on the all-time scoring, rebounding, steals, blocks, assists list due to the exclusion of their ABA accomplishments. Same thing for the coaches, like Coach Larry Brown. Same thing for the championships, like George McGinnis and the Indiana Pacers, 2-time champs in a moment of time when basketball was split. And we acknowledge that even though it was split, the talent base in the ABA was still elite, as evidenced by all the ABA players who went on to become all-stars after the merger. Charlotte, emotions have run so high throughout the league this week. Everybody's upset. Ooh. Everybody's perturbed. You've got teams losing 8 billion games in a row. I feel like we need that spiritual, caffeine boost. I feel like we need to.
Hype me up.
There it is. This is the game where we're given the name of a team or a player or a set of people, and we are tasked with making them feel better about themselves despite adverse conditions. Charlotte, are you ready?
I am.
Your first name is Luka Doncic. After losing last night to the T-Wolves despite putting up 39 points, 14 assists, and 7 rebounds, he said everything hurts earlier this week after the Mavs toughed out a win over the Lakers. So winning over the Lakers, losing to the T-Wolves, crazy numbers, but everything hurts for Luka Doncic.
Okay, Luka, listen. You're a new dad, right? You had a baby recently. You said, I slept very little. And you're still doing this. You're still putting up 39 points. You've also had some monster games recently where your team has also lost, which I understand how frustrating this must be, right? Because you're out there saying, I've slept very little. You said you're getting old. You're only 24. And look, I know that is a different age in professional basketball. You've been doing this for a long time. Also, even for normal people, when you're 24, you do start to feel. You start to feel like you still 24? A little bit. It's like I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I was 24, but I feel like there was a moment where I realized I was going like, when I sat down, even at a young age, and that was without having years of NBA basketball on my body. So Luka, I get it, but you are still very young, and you can do this.
24, I could still dunk. That's how good I was at 24. Physically,
we have two different bodies.
Oh my gosh.
The point is, Luka, this too shall pass. You will one day get sleep again. Your child will start sleeping through the night. You will get your team to rally around you and match the energy and talent and ability that you are bringing to this. Keep your head up. You're not old. Maybe try the skinny headband again. I don't know.
Well said.
Anyway, Amin, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You have to hype up Jamal Crawford after Julius Randle moved into 4th place on the Knicks' all-time three-pointers list, passing Crawford.
Jamal, let me tell you something right now, man. We go right now, I'm talking about right now, to New York City. I'll grab Julius. We're going to walk down 5th Avenue. Julius on my right, you on my left. And the number of people are going to run up and say, oh, my God, to you are going to greatly outnumber the ones they're going to say that to Julius Randle. Now, part of that's because he plays for the Knicks right now and people already hate him because anytime they lose, they think it's his fault. But also part of that is you're one of the most beloved basketball players of all time. And a lot of that, particularly in the city of New York, is because of your style of play. You had a style of play that the New York City basketball person loves. A flair for the dramatic, a ball on a string in terms of handling, and of course, timely shots, timely shot making. You are the king of the 4-point play. Oh, he's made some more 3-pointers. Okay, cool. Try doing it while someone's fouling you. How about that?
Wow.
Jamal, you got this. You don't have to worry about no stupid list. You got this. About that. All right.
That was really good.
Thank you,
I'm
Charlotte.
Intimidated now.
Number 2. Oh, you got 2 names this time. You ready for this? I don't think we've ever done this before. 2 different people in different places who are not related to each other directly. A little bit. There's a little bit of a tie there. You got Greg Popovich and Monty Williams. Now, Monty used to work for the Spurs a long time ago, so there is a connection there. But Greg is obviously the coach of the Spurs. Monty is the coach of the Pistons. Their teams have a combined 5-42 record this season and have lost, as of this recording, a combined 38 games in a row.
Oh, God.
Floor is yours.
Okay. Greg and Monty. If it were any two other coaches, I think that I would probably have a little bit of a harder time hyping you up. But you guys are both, you have two of the, if not the biggest contracts in the NBA. You're getting paid very well. Also, Greg, you're not going to get fired. Like, you're just not. Monty, you might, but you would always get another job. There's always another job for you. You were beloved around the league. And also, I want to say things couldn't get much worse, but actually I think they could, because I think both of your teams could just keep losing in perpetuity this season. But I think people might look at your teams and be like, oh, well, that's not their fault. Be like, the Pistons, they just didn't really have anybody good. Pop, it is your fault because you have Wembanyama. But listen, you guys are going to be fine no matter what happens. And I know that's not much solace right now as you're going through this garbage. But it also, like, just make it better. And also, you're still going to have a job, even if it all fails. So you don't really need that much hyping up.
To recap, Charlotte says money can buy you happiness.
Well, it can also buy you another chance. Okay, Amin, you ready?
Yeah.
Taj Gibson, who is 38 and signing with the Knicks, being reunited with Coach Tom Thibodeau. With Coach Tom Thibodeau is a tongue twister, let me tell you.
Is it?
For the fourth time in the NBA.
All right. So first of all, Bulls Heat last night. I was there, and there were a lot of Chicago people there, including Joakim Noah and Carlos Boozer, your two old teammates, Taj, and obviously played with you under Coach Tibbs. And so I'm here to tell you, Taj, that there's nothing more important in basketball than having a coach who believes in you. Your coach believes in you, dude, you're always going to feel secure in your role. You're always going to know what your role is, and you're always going to have an opportunity to shine in your role. And that's what every player wants to be. Whether you are a star player, a Hall of Famer, or a guy struggling to get onto the floor, you want to know what your role is, and you want to shine in that role. And Taj, that's what's happened to your entire career playing for Tom Thibodeau. Yes, you had that forgettable stint down there in Washington, D.C. No, forget about that. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about all the things that make this thing cool, like when you played for Tibbs in Chicago, and then when you played for him in New York. And you're a big part of bringing that toughness and that grit to a New York Knicks team that, you can never have too much of that, particularly because Mitchell Robinson is hurt. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks with that injury. So they need some size up front, someone to kind of bring that toughness, and you bring that and all the culture and all the cool things with it. Shout out to Taj Gibson.
That was a great hype me up.
Yes. I have to make up for Detroit.
That's how you do it, folks.
Shout out to Vinny Goodwill and Jamel Hill and Jalen Rose and all my other Detroit friends who always tell me, if you just go, you'll have a good time. And I tell them I have been, but apparently I need to go in the summertime. So.
Okay, there. Yes. Well, anywhere in the north in the winter is going to be a tough sell.
Charlotte, we're introducing a new game right now. It's called Bank, not Bang. Someone's search history is coming up. Bank, Bust, or Both. And the premise basically is we're past the quarter mile mark in the season. Some teams we thought were going to be good, and they are good. Some teams we thought were going to be good, but they're not so good. And then there's some teams that were like, oh, maybe a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. Charlotte, would you like to start us off? What team are you banking? And you're like, okay, this start matches what I thought would happen.
I'm taking the Boston Celtics.
Shocker.
Because I am a homer.
Oh my God.
But less homery. One thing that I feel like the Celtics, whenever there's a lot of hype, a lot of times they can kind of fall apart, and I'm a little worried that can still happen. I'm a little worried it's all too good to be true, but I'm going to bank on them, and I'm going to put any of that doubt outside of my head. We're banking Boston.
I'm going with the Denver Nuggets. They're not even playing all that well, and they're second in the West. Oh, Jokic is getting ejected from games. Jamal Murray's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. They're relying on a bunch of really young players to provide them with meaningful rotation minutes. And guess what? 17-9, 10-1 at home. They're rolling. I said it before. I said, look, everyone else is trying to figure out what the formula is. These guys have the formula. They had the formula. They're sick of the formula. It's like, oh my God, formula again. I guess we're just gonna have to keep on winning. Those Denver damn Nuggets. Okay, bust. Who's the team, Charlotte, that makes you think, you kind of let me down on this one?
I mean, I'm going to go Suns on this one because with Booker, with Durant, with Beal, everyone is talking about how this could be the year. They're in 10th right now. I'm not saying they can't still turn it around, but I just am not seeing the kind of greatness that I thought we would be seeing from them at this point. Also, if they do turn it around, you can clip this, Suns fans, and just throw it back in my face. So it's a gift to you, really.
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought a second year of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell together would be a recipe for success. I thought Evan Mobley getting into the second year of his career would be a lot more comfortable out there. I know they've had some injuries out there, but man. And I thought Max Strus and George Niang as pickups were really going to help them with their shooting. And they've just been a mediocre team. They're 500, the game above 500. Their net rating is a negative 0.4, which is basically you're a 500 team. They're, 6-6 at home? Yeah, and 7-6 on the road. They're 2-2 in their division. They're 9-7 in the conference. You guys are just damn average. You let me down. All right, last one. Team kind of sparked you. Like, you guys are a lot better than I thought you'd be.
I mean, easy answer for me, the Pacers. I know that you believed in Tyrese this whole time. I know you were like, they're going to be good. I didn't buy it.
They got blood
and
sport,
I have
too.
been converted. You know how I said in the beginning of the season that the Nets were my league pass side piece?
Yes.
It's the Pacers.
You changed it. You've converted.
Changed it. I love the Pacers.
I converted, too. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know what? I didn't see this coming at all. Like, I knew when they played together last season, they were decent there. Well, producer Jeff has got his hands up as he wears a very lime green, like those ugly Minnesota jerseys. He's got, it's not merch, but it just happens to be the same color as those highlighter jerseys they wear. But you look at, first of all, elite defensively. They figured out how to play around Rudy Gobert. I think Karl Anthony Towns has accepted and bought into his role, not only defensively, being there, present every possession out there, but also offensively, being someone who understands, hey, it ain't my team anymore. It's that guy's team. That guy's Ant-Man. He's amazing. And now I have to get in where I fit in, and I can still be great. I can still be an all-star. I can still put up numbers, but it can't be within the context of I'm coming down court and I get touches every single time. It's his team. It's his ball, and I just have to fit in with what he does. I didn't think all of those things would happen for them this quickly or this successfully. And at first I was like, well, it's early. It's been 20-plus games now. It's not early anymore. These are the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're a good team.
Wow,
indeed.
Wow.
I think I can just stop doing the show now.
Yeah, good. Okay, bye.
Walk off on that note.
Thanks for watching.